Jimmy Uso betrayed Jey Uso at the end of Tribal Combat. For me, honestly, I'm not sure it makes complete sense in storyline narrative, but what I will say is the most important thing is what comes next. What Jimmy says on SmackDown will determine for me whether I think this is a good thing or a bad thing. I'm going to reserve my judgment at this point, but to give my review for WWE SummerSlam 2023, we start with the main event, Tribal Combat, 36 minutes long, and I'm going to be controversial straight off the bat. This match was too long for me. It dragged. I thought it was very slow. It was very lethargic. I thought we could have got everything we needed to in half of the time. In fact, I even think the start of the match started wrong. I think Jey should have been fast out of the blocks, taking it to Roman Reigns, where Roman would need to regroup, not knowing what hit him, thinking to himself he truly had a brand new tribal chief that was going to dethrone him from his position. Instead, Roman was very dominant from the start. I understand that with the story that these two have had, the mind manipulation, and the fact that Jey's almost been kind of in an abusive relationship for the last 3 years. I'd like to have seen Jey take that out on Roman from the early doors, where Roman would have used his advantage of being head of the table to get that advantage, and then from then onwards build the story that way. Instead, it was a bit different. I suppose WWE have their way of doing it. Like I said, the master controlling the puppet, Jey getting his way back into the match, Solo then being a heavily featured involved as soon as it got into the crowd. We saw, of course, candlesticks, tables, chairs, you name it, it was involved in the match. For me, as I said, the action itself, the in-ring action was fine. I just think the story just didn't connect for me on this particular one. And as I said, we get towards the end of the match. Yes, it did take a few steps up. Roman and Solo, the miscommunication, the spear, leading to the idea that Solo would still protect the Tribal Chief against Jey Uso. However, there was question marks with Solo and Roman. Was Solo going to snap on Roman? We didn't find out because, well, Jey took matters into his own hands, spearing Roman through the barricade, putting Solo through the announcer's table via a splash, just like he did at Money in the Bank. And then, of course, Jey Uso getting Roman in ring, hitting that splash on Roman, looking like he's going to get the 1, 2, 3, and that's the moment. Once again, savior for Roman Reigns, but this time it's Jimmy Uso, just like what Solo did at Clash of the Castle when Roman faced Drew McIntyre, a very similar finish, mirror, if you will. But Jimmy Uso was the one. But it doesn't look like Jimmy's with the bloodline. I think that's a starting point that's positive to say. If Jimmy had just gone back to the bloodline, the people that put him in hospital, the people that took him out, for me, I'd say that make no sense whatsoever. Like I say, key coming from here is what happens next, because Jey was cost the opportunity via his twin brother. Jimmy, is he jealous? And for me, it just doesn't add up in the storyline narrative. These two have always been stuck together. That was the bond between Jimmy and Jey. They couldn't be broke up, and that's why they left the bloodline. They stuck together. Is it because Jey went for the head of the table, went for the Tribal Chief position? Is it the fact he tried to one-up Jimmy? Is it the fact that perhaps maybe Jimmy feels Jey isn't up to it? Something that Jonesy has chatted to me about. Maybe, just maybe, Jimmy thought Jey was going to turn into Roman Reigns. Had he won that match and become head of the table, become the champion, maybe he would have seen his twin brother turn into something that he's become against. Maybe that's what the direction could have been. And then Nick Steve threw that suggestion to me, and I think that's a fascinating storyline narrative that we could see go forward in WWE. Like I say, explanation is key to whether this actually works or doesn't work for me going forward, but certainly it's a storyline that's going to be interesting nonetheless. Roman Reigns expected to take time off TV from now. We're going to have Jimmy and Jey perhaps in the singles program. Will be perfect as a main event, sub-main event for Payback. Of course, building into what's where we're going to get perhaps towards Survivor Series, Royal Rumble season. We don't know when Roman's exactly going to be coming back. I imagine if we have a Saudi show before Survivor Series, that's probably the area that he'll come back in. What's Jimmy going to do? Is Jimmy still going to want to be the one to actually dethrone Roman? Maybe he wants to have that position and not Jey take out, because, well, Jimmy was the one that put in hospital, not Jey. So there's lots of different ways that this can go. It's going to be interesting to see what the storyline narrative is going to be. It's a big talking point coming out of SummerSlam, so that's something that's a big positive. You need to see SmackDown. It's a cliffhanger. I'm very much in a pro column for that. But for a match 36 minutes long, the longest match in SummerSlam history, I'm not quite sure this match delivered the way I wanted it to, but still, nonetheless, a very eventful SummerSlam. Thank you for checking out the video here today on SCW. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and leave a comment below what you thought of WWE SummerSlam. I'm going to go through it with my review now. I'm going to go now and go back to the start of the show. Of course, Logan Paul and Ricochet kicking off in what was supposed to be a viral encounter. To be honest, I thought it was a fantastic opener. Really enjoyed the interaction with these two. Slower pace start than you would have expected, but once this kicked into gear, my goodness, there was some great high flying spectacle moments, and to be fair, Logan Paul just gets better with each appearance in WWE. The springboard from the apron off the top rope to do a frog splash in the ring was pinpoint perfect, and there was a buckshot lariat which we used to see flip over the top rope in ring to land a clothesline. He flipped to the floor, landed on his feet, hit Ricochet with a clothesline. That was unbelievable. What a great spot there. But towards the end of the match, Ricochet going for the 630, of course, high spectacle flying move that Ricochet does to close matches. Missed that. One of Logan Paul's cronies came to ringside, handed him some brass knuckles. Of course, Logan Paul used those, and that got him the 1-2-3. Bit of a disappointing finish to what otherwise was an excellent match, but I wouldn't be surprised if these two will go at it again. They've, of course, been, well, they've been interacting the whole calendar year in WWE. The viral moment of the Royal Rumble, the insane Spanish Fly at Money in the Bank, and of course, who can forget here SummerSlam with this finish. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a best of 3 series. Perhaps you could do Payback or one simple rematch, which is more than likely going to be at Saudi Arabia, probably for Crown Jewel later this year. Following that, we had the Cody Rhodes Brock Lesnar trilogy. I refuse to call it a main event, however, the match was brilliant. I loved the storytelling of Brock, really giving adversity to Cody Rhodes. It was like watching Brock Lesnar versus John Cena back in 2014. Total annihilation with the suplexes. Brock getting Cody on the outside, pretty much was pleading for him to not get back into the ring. It's going to get worse. The F5 as well through the table. Cody always getting back in on the count of 9. And of course, Cody getting out of the Kimura lock, putting one for his own good as well, and then hitting 3 crossroads for the victory. A nice touch after the match as well. Brock Lesnar giving a handshake to Cody Rhodes, showing this rivalry is finished. Brock probably going off to do his own thing, maybe returning as a babyface when he does come back. The torch has been passed. Cody is ready now as a top bona fide star to go to that next level. When it comes to the Battle Royale, look, let's be fair, my boy LA Knight, yeah, picked up the win, so I'm not going to be complaining. I'm also happy with the Slim Jim partnership with WWE. To see the advert was a lot of fun afterwards as well. It was the right winner when it comes to the Battle Royale. LA Knight deserves that push. As I always say, he's over like Rover right now. The reactions get bigger each and every time, so now it's time to start a story with LA Knight. For me, if you have Austin Theory defeat Santos Escobar, LA Knight could be the next challenger for the United States Championship. Next was the Ronda Rousey Shayna Baszler MMA rules match. To be fair, I'm not gonna lie, this wasn't quite for me. I think MMA doesn't quite work in sports entertainment. I would have booked this slightly different if you had to do it that way. I think the crowd in attendance weren't quite aware of the rules either. I don't remember them announcing it with the ring announcers. We kind of heard it through the referee before the match started, so I felt that there was that bit of disconnect to begin with. I would have preferred if Shayna Baszler had just dominated Ronda Rousey in quick fashion. I'm not sure that things got over the way WWE wanted to. I think had officials come in as well to check on Shayna, had that been a proper MMA fight, that fight would have been stopped and Shayna would have lost. So it's just those couple of things that disconnect for me. However, I think the right result was given, and I hope that Shayna does get a push going forward after this. And for me, it's a shame with Ronda Rousey, this run for WWE hasn't quite worked out for her. I wish her the very best going forward, and I hope one day maybe she'll come back one more time to WWE. Following this was the Intercontinental Championship match, Gunther versus Drew McIntyre, one of my favourite matches of the evening. I really bought into Drew potentially winning the championship when the Claymore was hit. I thought that hand from the referee was coming down for the 3 count. I was so happy though that Gunther did kick out. I want Gunther to become the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion of all time. He's got just over a month to go, and to be fair, if you're going to put away someone like Drew McIntyre, you've got to do it in a decisive manner. The splash from the top rope, the lariat, followed by the powerbomb. All 3 moves have been used as finishers from Gunther in the past. That way it made it decisive that Gunther would win this match. I wouldn't be surprised if this match was done again in the future. Perhaps when Gunther's broken the record, Drew McIntyre could be the one to take that championship from Gunther. Following this was my match of the night, Seth freaking Rollins versus Finn Balor. Really enjoyed the storytelling of this from start to finish, with Finn having 7 almost painted on his shoulder. I think they said it was tattooed on commentary. Either way, I thought it was a nice touch. The fact that Finn using that psychology and the story from their match in 2016 was a nice touch. This match, though, really took another gear once Damian Priest came to ringside, trying to give that briefcase to Finn Balor, although Balor thought that Priest was going to cash in. I thought that the miscommunication between these two actually really worked. A couple of really exciting near falls with Seth and Balor as well. I really bought in particular to the one where Seth was taking out the Judgment Day members on the floor, came into the ring, was hit with a sling blade, the drop kick into the corner, and a coup de grace. I thought to myself that was going to be it. There was a moment though where it felt like that Balor said, look, cash in Money in the Bank, let's get this title off Seth Rollins, and Damian slid the briefcase into the ring, went round for the distraction. As Balor went to grab the briefcase, he was hit with a curb stomp from Seth for the 3 count. Look, there's going to be problems with Judgment Day. I like the group together, to be honest. I don't want to see them break up, but the storytelling here was fantastic. The match was exciting. It was my favourite match of the night. Lastly, let's talk about the Women's Championship match, Asuka, Belair and Flair. To be fair, this triple threat match was decent, although I think it was decent from the second half of the match. The first half, things felt a bit off timing-wise. A few moves people weren't in the right places. Maybe a couple of moves were a bit too adventurous as well, trying to pull off, but still, once we got to the nitty-gritty of where this match really kicked in storyline wise, I really enjoyed it. Bianca Belair meant to be having that injury, of course. She meant to have injured her knee, of course. People were attending to it at ringside. Really tried to sell it with a big scream at the start, which I thought sounded really, really good. But of course, once she was being helped to the back, I think you could kind of see the way that WWE's production was doing this. This was a work, that she was not actually truly injured. But of course, Charlotte and Asuka continue the match in ring. Asuka was actually in the figure 8. So at this point, Bianca thought, no, I need to get back to the ring. Managed to get there, got to the top rope, hit a 450 splash as well to break things up. Of course, then this led to Belair and Charlotte Flair being face to face. From this point, they were exchanging blows as well, where I think long term that will be the rivalry going at the end of this. And of course, well, Belair meant to have the injury as well. Charlotte was able to put the figure 8 on her, but of course she wasn't successful because Asuka got back in the ring, used the mist as well successfully. This ruled Charlotte out of the rest of the match. Asuka going for a finisher was actually rolled up instead by Bianca, whilst Belair was still stuck in the figure 8 as well to get the pinfall victory. Very creative finish, really like that. Really came out of left field as well. I know for the people that say like Super Cena style with Bianca Belair wins lol, but for me, I thought it was a really good finish. Was really surprised about the finish. I didn't expect Belair to win out of everybody in this match, but of course, with the injury and storyline, this is perfect for a Money in the Bank cash in. Of course, Damage Control members Io Sky, Bayley coming to ringside, taking out Asuka, taking out Charlotte Flair, hitting Bianca, making sure she's down as well, cashing in that briefcase. And look, I've said on the channel many times before, I thought Io would fail the cash in, because I thought when the time was right, Bayley would turn on her. This didn't happen here. This was the anniversary of Damage Control. The bell rung 8 seconds later with that moonsault hit perfectly by Io Sky. The 1, 2, 3, and we've got a brand new WWE Women's Champion in Io Sky. Really happy for her. Of course, look, I'm biased. My favourite wrestler in the women's division as well. It was good to see her there. And Damage Control as well. We had Dakota Kai make an appearance as well. All 3 ladies in the ring. Felt like a very special moment. There's been some ups and downs with Damage Control over the last 12 months, but to see where they are right now, I'm really pleased to see where this is as a group. I still think Bayley will turn on Io Sky. I think jealousy will happen down the line. I wouldn't be surprised if Bayley actually introduces Cora Jade as well to the main roster and help her get through the Shotzi rivalry going on right now, and eventually when I do think she does turn on Io Sky, she then still has a numbers advantage. But certainly for me, on this night with these 3 members of Damage Control, Io Sky holding that championship up as well high and proud, was great to see, and I think she's going to be a fantastic women's champion in WWE. So there you have it. That's my review there for SummerSlam 2023. Overall, going to give this show like a 6.5 out of 10, maybe a 7. I do think that this show was good, but not great. There certainly are some matches I would seek out to go and watch again, particularly Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor, Gunther versus Drew McIntyre. I did enjoy Ricochet, Logan Paul, and I did also enjoy Cody Rhodes and Brock Lesnar. Those are probably the 4 matches I would sing that as your must go and seize. But let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Did you enjoy SummerSlam 2023? I look forward to interacting with you in the comments below. And of course, if you agree, disagree, let me know. I cannot wait to hear from you. But make sure to like the video as well. Subscribe if you're new to the channel also. And there's plenty of SummerSlam content on the channel. In fact, if you can't get enough of SummerSlam and you want something a little bit more, maybe something a bit retro, we're going to do the SCW Rewind on this channel tomorrow. That's right, it'll be SummerSlam 1998, the Highway to Hell. Myself and NXT will be reviewing that show. But of course, plenty of other SummerSlam content to be watching in the meantime that are on the side of your screen. Thank you for watching. Click on one of those videos right now, and I'll see you next time here on the channel. Thank you for watching.